Jesus cleanses the temple, as told in Matthew chapter 21 verses 12 to 17.
And Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who sold and bought in the temple, and he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. He said to them,
"It is written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer,' but you make it a den of robbers."
And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and the scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying out in the temple,
"Hosanna, the Son of David!"
they were indignant, and they said to him,
"Do you hear what these are saying?"
And Jesus said to them,
Yes, have you never read, "Out of the mouth of infants and nursing babies you have prepared praise"?
And leaving them, he went out of the city to Bethany and lodged there.
Jesus cleanses the temple, as told in Mark chapter 11 verses 15 to 19.
And they came to Jerusalem, and he entered the temple and began to drive out those who sold and those who bought in the temple. And he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. And he would not allow anyone to carry anything through the temple. And he was teaching them and saying to them,
Oh, is it not written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations'? But you have made it a den of robbers."
And the chief priests and the scribes heard it and were seeking a way to destroy him, for they feared him because all the crowd was astonished at his teaching. And when evening came, they went out of the city.
Jesus cleanses the temple, as told in Luke chapter 19 verses 45 to 48.
And he entered the temple and began to drive out those who sold, saying to them,
It is written, "My house shall be a house of prayer," but you have made it a den of robbers.
And he was teaching daily in the temple. The chief priests and the scribes and the principal men of the people were seeking to destroy him, but they did not find anything they could do, for all the people were hanging on his words.
Jesus cleanses the temple, as told in John chapter 2 verses 13 to 25.
The Passover of the Jews was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple he found those who were selling oxen and sheep and pigeons, and the money changers sitting there. And making a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple with the sheep and oxen. And he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And he told those who sold the pigeons,
Take these things away. Do not make my Father's house a house of trade.
His disciples remembered that it was written,
Zeal for your house will consume me.
So the Jews said to him,
What sign do you show us for doing these things?
Jesus answered them,
Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up.
The Jews then said,
It has taken 46 years to build this temple, and will you raise it up in 3 days?
But he was speaking about the temple of his body. When therefore he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover feast, many believed in his name when they saw the signs that he was doing. But Jesus, on his part, did not entrust himself to them, because he knew all people, and needed no one to bear witness about man, for he himself knew what was in man.